Hi, sixth graders. Excited to talk to you today about some books before you get to spring break. Hard to believe that we're almost there, but yeah, here it is. Before we get there, I wanted to bring up just the fact that some of us might be sitting in a bit of a reading rut right now and feeling like it is difficult to pick up that next book or find a book that feels like the next good read that we're going to be reading. I've had some students, check something out and then bring it back and say, this just wasn't really what I was in the mood for, or it's not the book that I wanted to read. And so I wanted to share with you a few ideas about how to beat a reading slump. There are lots of ways to find something new to read. Everything from rereading an old favorite, which might just mean going back to something that maybe you were read to in elementary school, or a book that you read over and over again. Maybe even in your really young years, think back to a book that was a favorite of yours, and that can be a way to reignite and kind of spark an interest again in finding something new to read. Reading something short and easy, right? Just because you're, feeling stuck doesn't mean that means you've got to pick up that 200-page book. It might just be a comic, a magazine. Picking up something that's quick, a shorter book maybe that, just allows you to kind of get into a story, and maybe picking something that's a little bit of an easier read for you can help to sort of generate that interest again and get you focused back on finding something fun. Changing a format of what you're reading. This helps me out a lot, especially as the weather changes. I like to listen to books as I go for a walk or a run or something, and that can be a nice way just to change it up. And it, so many great authors and performers do some of these readings with these audiobooks. Audiobooks are a great way to get a story and to do your reading, but it isn't forcing you to have to actually see the words on the page. It's hearing that story that way. It's reading as well. So finding other ways, I've listed a whole bunch of things here. If you're feeling a little bit like you're in a slump and just feeling stuck, I hope that something on this list might help you get out of that. Another way, I know I've mentioned a few times throughout this year, but I'll bring you back to it again, is to go to our homepage and that Destiny Discover catalog. We do keep changing that top banner every week or two, trying to give you new ideas, new titles to look at. Right now, because of March Madness with basketball, we have all basketball books up here on the top. Everything from fiction to some nonfiction as well, and some graphic novels too. So if basketball is your thing, that might be good to check out. You can always go to these topic buttons and look by genre. If you know that graphic novels are your favorite, you can, click on that button and see everything that we have on those graphic novel shelves and see what's in. You also can look by collection. Everything that we've had on that top banner throughout the year, Mrs. Kump is so great about putting these in our collections down here. So if you wanted to read a winter book, even though hopefully all the snow is melting away by now, you can scroll along here and see some of the other collections that we've had. Music fiction, right? Lots of books that involve bands and music in some way, and lots of other categories that just might, again, spark an interest, get you thinking about a book that you might want to take a look at. So today, I noticed I am actually starting with 3 books in our realistic fiction section. I don't know what was with me in creating today's book talk, but that's what I was in the mood to share. So my first one is Crunch by Leslie Connor. This story is about a kid named Dewey who volunteers to take care of his family's bike shop while his parents, I think, are heading up north for a trip, if I'm remembering correctly. He and his older sister decide they're going to also take care of their younger siblings while his parents are gone. I think they're just away for like an overnight or something. What he didn't know was that the gas pumps were going to run dry the same week that he promised to take care of this bicycle shop. And of course, that means everybody all of a sudden needs a bike. That's great for business. It's not really great for a teenage boy and his sister who are trying to run the shop without his parents there. Nobody wants to wait for a bike. Everybody's, pushing and shoving, trying to get into the shop. They're having to help everybody. It's pretty crazy. Well, things get a little bit more stressful when his parents announce that they also can't get back because they can't get gas for their car either. And he's going to have to manage things with his sister on their own. And they discover that some bike parts are missing from the shop. Turns out, seems there's a thief who has been taking parts from the shop. And so there's a little mystery involved in this story too. As he tries to figure out who might be taking these parts, can he solve the mystery and find out who is stealing things from the shop before his parents get back. The story's called Crunch. There is a lot of humor to the story too, as any kid who's had to help out with a family business, I think, would really enjoy this story by Leslie Connor. Blended by Sharon Draper. Boy, I could tell you how great this book is, but I'm actually going to let Sharon Draper, our author, do that for you in this trailer.
I'm soaked and shivering. I'm tired of everything. I let Dad take my hand. Mom brushes my face with her fingers. They rush to embrace me. We're a sopping mess, the three of us. But all I can think of is that for the first time in a long, long time, I'm being hugged by my mother and my father at the same time.
Hi, my name is Sharon Draper, and I am the author of Blended. Blended is a story of Isabella, who's 11 years old. Her mother and her father are divorced. Isabella's father is African American and he's rich. Her mom is white and her mom struggles to make ends meet. She lives 1 week with mom and 1 week with dad. So she really has two lives. She says, half of my life is mom's house and half of my life is dad's house. I have no life of my own. Isabella is a pianist. She plays a really strong classical piano. She uses the piano for escape from her frustrations, for joy because she loves music. And in order to play the piano, you have to join the black keys and the white keys, and they have to be blended. And the combination of combining the black keys and the white keys makes for a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. But her life is blended as well. She has to blend her father's life and her mother's life together with her life. Isabella goes to a racially mixed school, doesn't really think about race very much. She has to deal with a situation that is very, very painful, very, very difficult. An ordinary girl ending up having to face extraordinary circumstances. Look for Blended at your Scholastic Book Fair.
I hope that you'll check this book out at our library. The Honest Truth by Dan Geimenhardt. This is a story of a young man who begins the book finding out that he has cancer that has returned. He's 12. His name is Mark. He lives in Washington, and at the beginning of the story, he decides that he is going to reach the top of Mount Rainier. He leaves with his camera and his notebook and his dog Bo, and decides that because this cancer that he's battled once before has now come back again, this is his chance to climb to the top of that mountain. He believes it might be his only chance to do it. And so he leaves his parents, leaves his best friend Jesse behind, and sets off on this adventure. And there's a lot of things that come up along the way with an adventure like this. Climbing a mountain is no easy feat for a young kid, for anybody really. And so you're going to see him go through that. You're also going to see this friendship between Jesse and Mark, and between Mark and his dog, kind of carried throughout the story. One thing that's interesting about the way the book is written is it's told in alternating chapters. You get to hear things from Mark and his perspective, right? His story as he's climbing this mountain and going along the journey. But also you get to hear in the other chapters from the people who are searching for him. They're worried about Mark taking this trip. They've been left behind. So his parents and Jesse and the others, you get to hear their perspectives as well. It's a quick read and a read that's going to bring you through all kinds of emotions. This is just a fantastic book, and I hope that you'll pick this one up as well. On a lighter note, for Star Wars fans or those that like a good fantasy, what if you could fold up paper and create a little origami figure that then could, predict the future? That's the case in The Strange Case of Origami Yoda by Tom Engelberger, the first book in a series. This is a very funny little series about a kid named Dwight in this first book, who, I guess for lack of a better term, is kind of a loser at his school. He just hasn't found a way to fit in. He does a lot of odd things, and even when kids try to include him, he just kind of does the opposite. But Dwight decides to make this origami finger puppet. It's a skill he has. He makes one of Yoda, and he talks to his classmates using Yoda. Sounds pretty odd, but this little origami Yoda can predict the future and does so with accuracy. He predicts the date of a pop quiz. He guesses who stole something out of a classroom correctly. He makes all kinds of correct predictions. And before you know it, in the cafeteria, kids are lining up, not even eating their lunch, so that they can have Yoda make predictions about things. And again, this Yoda seems to know everything, even though Dwight doesn't, seems pretty clueless about, most everything. This is a funny story. How is it that Yoda can be so smart when Dwight doesn't seem to know much about any kind of social thing? Read this book to find out in The Strange Case of Origami Yoda and get some origami tips as well. Last but not least, I didn't want to walk away from March Madness and our basketball display, which, by the way, we have lots of basketball books up on our shelves, without sharing a basketball book. This one is a nice quick read, The $1 Million Shot by Dan Gutman. I would love to have this opportunity. This kid, Eddie, gets a chance to win $1 million. He enters a poetry contest and gets the opportunity to sink a foul shot at the NBA Finals. Obviously, his classmates, there are mixed reviews. Tons of kids are cheering Eddie on. Others are feeling kind of jealous. But he also begins to receive some anonymous notes telling him he's going to miss the shot. You've got to read this book to find out if Eddie makes it or not. A great read, a quick read. Thinking back to that reading slump slide, this is definitely one of those short and easy reads that you could pick up and finish in a day or two if you really put your mind to it. If you like basketball, or if you just have always wondered, what would it be like to have the chance to win $1 million? What would you do with that money? You're going to want to read to find out what ideas Eddie has about, what he might do if he wins the big bucks. I hope one of these books sounded good to you, and if not, I hope you'll reach out to get an idea. Thanks so much for your attention. Happy reading.